My daughter set a document on my kitchen table and slid it toward me like she was doing me a favor. Power of attorney. My name on the signature line. My exact handwriting. I was sitting on my hands. I had not touched a pen all morning. I looked at her. She was already smiling, the kind of smile I had seen in courtrooms on people who thought they had already won. 41 years I practiced estate law. 41 years I watched people try to steal from the ones who trusted them most. And now I was sitting across from my own daughter, looking at my forged signature, thinking one thing, baby girl, you have no idea who you just made an enemy of. Tell me where you're watching from right now. I read every single comment. And if this already has you hooked, hit like and subscribe because what she did next made everything worse. My name is Eleanor Voss. I spent 41 years practicing estate and probate law in Cincinnati, Ohio. I drafted wills, managed trusts, and sat across from some of the most convincing liars this state had ever produced. I could spot a fraudulent document in under 60 seconds. The person holding it, 30. I retired to take care of my wife, Margaret. She was diagnosed with early onset dementia and she needed me home. I chose her without hesitation. We had 3 good years before she stopped recognizing my face. She passed on a Thursday morning in February, quietly, with my hand in hers. The grief that followed was not dramatic. It was silent and total, like every light in a house going out at once. Cassandra started visiting more after Margaret died. Her husband, Marcus, came with her. At first, I was grateful. She handled paperwork. He fixed things around the house. I let them in completely because grief had done what 41 years of opposing counsel never could. It made me tired. 6 months after the funeral, Cassandra arrived early on a Tuesday. Marcus came inside, which he rarely did. They were dressed like they had somewhere important to be afterward. She set a leather folder on my kitchen table, opened it, slid the document toward me, durable power of attorney, full financial authority, property rights, health care override, my name on the signature line. I did not touch it. I turned to page 3, page 5. The loop in my E, the leftward tilt on my V. Someone had practiced this carefully, but not carefully enough. I had signed my name 90,000 times in my professional life. Every muscle memory in that stroke was mine. This was not. I set it down. I looked at my daughter. I smiled the same smile I used to give expert witnesses right before I dismantled them on the stand. I told her I needed my reading glasses. I walked to the bedroom. I sat on the edge of the bed, and I began very quietly to plan. If you have ever been underestimated by someone who should have known better, someone you loved without condition, tell me in the comments right now. I read every single one. And stay with me because what I did next, Cassandra never saw coming. I did not call the police that morning. That would have been amateur. I had spent 4 decades watching people make that mistake: move fast, show your hand, blow the case before the evidence is airtight. The law does not reward emotion. It rewards preparation. So I walked back to that kitchen, told Cassandra I needed a few days to review everything with my own attorney. A formality, I said. She smiled and said, of course. Marcus said they completely understood. They left within 10 minutes. I stood at the window and watched their car back out of my driveway. Then I called the one person I trusted completely, my former paralegal of 19 years, Diane Cho. She was now a licensed private investigator. She answered on the second ring. I told her everything. She was quiet for 4 seconds. Then she said, "How long do you want to give them before we move?" I said long enough to let them think they won. For the next 6 weeks, I became the most cooperative victim imaginable. I answered Cassandra's calls warmly. I let Marcus fix the gutters. I had them both to Sunday dinner twice. I was the perfect grieving widow, soft, tired, leaning on her family. Meanwhile, Diane was pulling everything. She found business filings showing Marcus had quietly incorporated a property management company 4 months earlier, listing my home address as a managed asset without my knowledge or consent. She found emails between Cassandra and a financial advisor discussing asset liquidation timelines. She found records of 3 unauthorized account inquiries traced directly back to them. And she sent the forged document to a forensic examiner in Chicago who confirmed within 72 hours traced signature, not freehand. Practiced. Deliberate. Premeditated. This had been planned before Margaret was even in the ground. That was the piece that broke through every wall I had built around myself professionally. Because somewhere underneath the attorney, underneath the strategy, underneath 41 years of courtroom composure, there was still a mother who had taught that girl to read, who had braided her hair on school mornings, who had stayed up past midnight helping her study for a bar exam she never took. And that mother sat alone in her kitchen the night Diane sent the full report and did not cry. She read every page, made her notes, and picked up the phone. Have you ever had to keep smiling at someone who was hurting you, someone you still loved underneath all of it? Drop a heart in the comments right now. You don't have to explain it. I already understand. And stay with me because the morning it was finally over is the part I will never forget. The arrest happened on a Wednesday. I was not there to watch it. Not out of mercy, out of precision. I did not want the last image Cassandra had of me to be triumph. I wanted it to be Sunday dinner. Wine. A hug at the door. I wanted her to spend the rest of her life understanding that her mother had been 3 moves ahead the entire time and had never once let it show. The prosecutor moved quickly. Diane's documentation was clean. The business filings showed intent. The forensic report on the signature was airtight. Cassandra was charged with elder financial abuse and forgery of a legal instrument. Marcus was charged separately. The property management company he had built around my home made him a principal in the scheme, not a bystander. Their attorney tried to negotiate twice. The prosecutor, a woman who had sat across from me in Cincinnati courtrooms for 11 years and knew exactly how I built a case, declined both times. On the third offer, they took a plea. Cassandra received 18 months. Marcus received 14. A civil judgment placed a lien on assets they had built across 4 years of marriage. They lost nearly everything. I sat in my attorney's office the morning the plea was finalized and felt something I had not expected. Not satisfaction, not relief. Something quieter than both, a deep and private sorrow. Because you can be completely right and still grieve what you had to do to get there. 3 months later, I sold the Cincinnati house. Too many rooms, too many shadows. I moved to a smaller place outside Asheville, North Carolina, a porch that faces the mountains, a garden that Margaret would have loved completely. I planted dahlias in the spring. I drink my coffee outside every morning. And on the mornings when I think of Cassandra, which still happens, which I think will always happen, I come back to something Margaret said to me once on one of her clearer days. She looked at me across the breakfast table and said, "Eleanor, you have always known exactly who you are. Don't let anyone take that from you. Nobody did. I want to hear from you right now. Have you ever had to protect something that should have already been safe? Your home, your money, someone you loved. Tell me your story in the comments." I read every single one. And if Eleanor's story meant something to you today, please like this video and subscribe. Because next week, I have something that will stay with you long after it's over.